Hello and welcome to the Villa Park podcast. It is just me, Rich, tonight. I'm going to be talking Crystal Palace, party at the Palace, or will it be Champions League Aston Villa taking the trip to Selhurst Park to take on Crystal Palace. We'll also get into how we think Emery will approach the game, what we think the starting lineups will be. It will definitely be a party. It's going to be a really good atmosphere. We'll get into your questions and comments as well, because most of the talk has been about finances, transfers, etc., etc. So we'll get into that, and I'm sure you guys will keep me company in the chat. First of all, though, we're marching on towards 4,000 subscribers. I can't believe the support we've had over the last few days. It's been tremendous. We're literally 140 or so, 145 away from 4,000 subscribers. So if you haven't already, please do hit the subscribe button, hit the like button as well. It really does mean a lot. I think we got 4,000 views or something on the last match reaction show, which is just crazy, and something like 350 likes. So it does really make a massive difference. So please hit the like button, and if you want to become a member or any super chats, anything like that, please, your support is just amazing. So if you want to become a member, click the join button, click the link at the top of the chat, or click the dollar sign to donate to the channel. So yeah, let's get into it. I'll be going tomorrow. I'm really looking forward to going to the game. Traveling down from up here in Newcastle as well with a couple of the lads, so really looking forward to it. So please do come and say hello if you are going to the game as well. Adamski, good evening or good day to you. Good evening to you, Rachel. Deontay, good evening. Philip, good evening to you. Bear in the Garden, good evening to you as well. And Wilson Tron, I will get onto your question a bit later. So yeah, just get your questions in and your comments in. Let me know what your thoughts are. So we obviously know that we've qualified for the Champions League. It takes the pressure off this game massively, because had we needed points in this game, it would have been really, really difficult. Crystal Palace are on absolutely phenomenal form at the moment. I think they're second in the form table. And if you look at their front six, including their midfield with Wharton in there, with Eze, with Michael Elise, with Mateta, who's just playing absolutely phenomenally at the moment. They've just really taken to their new manager, and they're playing with a style and a swagger. All those players are really, really, really dangerous. And it would have been extremely difficult for us, knowing that if we needed a victory, if we needed something out of the game, going to Crystal Palace, going to Selhurst Park is difficult at the best of times. So to go there and need something would have been really, really difficult, especially with the season that we've had. So, and the injuries that we've got. So to go there without the pressure is just tremendous now, and we can really enjoy it. So I'm interested to know what your thoughts are in terms of how Unai Emery will approach the game. So just let me know your thoughts, because he'll obviously want to respect the game. He said that, but we also have a number of injuries. We have the long-term injuries: Buendia, Tyrone Mings, Boubacar Kamara. He's also said that Yuri Tielemans isn't fit. He's also said Alex Moreno isn't fit. Zaniolo's obviously broken a bone in his foot, so he's missing the Euros. We know that Leon Bailey's been playing with a bit of an injury. So does he play those players? Does he rest those players? Does he bring the likes of Tim Irigbonemin, Kellyman, Longley, Chambers even? Does he bring some of those guys in? And then Ollie Watkins, he wants his 20th goal of the season. So does he play Ollie Watkins? Does he play Moussa Diaby? Does he play John McGinn? We've seen pictures of John McGinn celebrating after the presentation night. He might be still celebrating now. So yeah, let me know your thoughts in the chat, because I can't see him going full on rotation, but I could see one or two players coming in who maybe haven't played too many games, maybe like a Clement Longley. Pau Torres maybe came back a little bit earlier than he maybe should have done. Does he play Kane Kessler-Hayden at right back instead of Ezri Konsa? Ezri Konsa's hoping to get into the England squad. Maybe he doesn't want to risk an injury or something like that. So what do we see on that? Rachel said, I think he'll rotate a few, but we'll try to win, but not force a win. Big T, I've got your prediction as well. We'll go through those later. To play Watkins, Duran and Diaby as a front three, Bailey on the bench and bring him on for the last 20. Shane, good to have you in the chat, says Kessler Hayden possibly. And I could see Kessler Hayden playing, but also some of these players will want to play as well. They'll want to get their minutes. They'll want to give thanks to the fans. the away fans who've travelled up and down the country, travelled across Europe as well. They'll want to give them something to take back. And then also, does Emi Martinez play, or does he play Joe Gauchi? Does he give Gauchi a game for his first Premier League start? What it's interesting. And then with Crystal Palace, do they make changes, or do they want to really end the season on a high? You'd guess that, being in front of their home fans, but I know they've been talking about one or two players who maybe deserve a start or haven't had too many minutes. And they've also got players that are looking to get into the Euros. So is it a case of resting those players, or is it a case of playing those players into keeping them warmed up? I'll go on to FOTMob and have a little look at their predicted lineups, and I don't think it's too far off, to be honest. They've gone with Martinez in goal, Esri Konsa at right back, which you could argue Konsa or Kessler Hayden, Diego Carlos and Pau Torres, and then Luca Dean. Now, maybe you could see Clement Longley coming in. You could maybe see Konsa coming into there, and maybe Kessler Hayden coming in at right back potentially. Then you've got Douglas Luiz and John McGinn. Maybe he plays at Chambers possibly instead of Douglas Luiz, or maybe plays Tim Irigbonham. It was noticeable that Chambers came on the other night though instead of Irigbonham, so maybe that's something to think about. Musa Diaby, I'm sure will start. Ollie Watkins, I'm sure will start. I don't know if Leon Bailey starts, and then you've got John Duran. But to be honest, then it's you're struggling to think of players to bring in. I didn't mention Morgan Rogers. Morgan Rogers isn't fit either. So Amari Kellyman, does he come in and get a game? It's really difficult to suggest that any of those players will start, but he might utilise one or two of them off the bench. Rachel said, "I'd love to do Gauchi, Kessler Hayden, Carlos, Longley, Dina, Tim, Douglas Luiz, McGinn, Diaby, Duran, and Ollie." That's not a bad side, actually. That's not a bad side at all, and it gives a little bit of a mix to the experience and youth that we might be able to go with. Saint of Selhurst in the chat, thank you for joining, mate. Just want to say massive congratulations on UEFA Champions League football for you all. A well-deserved achievement for a top team and a top fan base. Big up yourselves. Thank you. Much appreciated. And we are going to be loving it in the Champions League. Whatever format it is, whoever we get, we're going to absolutely love it. And it's just so good to play this game tomorrow without any pressure. Just go out and enjoy it. Crystal Palace are the same. They can go out and enjoy it. And hopefully it's a really, really good game of football. Crystal Palace, like I said, Mateta, Eze, Elise, Munoz is playing really well. Wharton's has been fantastic. I mean, he could make a late claim to be in the Euro squad for me. He is absolutely fantastic in that midfield. I guess their only downfall is at the back, just if Mark Gay plays or not. Anderson's a good player, but they have got some weaknesses at the back, and potentially Dean Henderson is known for one or two errors. Decent shot stopper, but known for one or two errors. So we can definitely hurt them, and we can definitely get in behind. Does Ollie Watkins get his 20th Premier League goal of the season tomorrow? That is for you in the chat. Does Ollie Watkins get his 20th Premier League goal of the season? It is so. It doesn't look like his name is on that 20 goal season. It doesn't. It looks like Aston Villa are cursed with the 19 goals, 19 Premier League goals season curse, because if he ever was going to get it, it was going to be on Monday night against Liverpool. Diego Carlos pushes him out the way and misses the shot that's on the line. Leon Bailey is offside by a toenail and it doesn't go in. It is just craziness. So I just don't know if he's going to do it. If we make a lot of changes as well, does he get the chances that he might get had we played a full strength team? It's so difficult. I really hope he does it. It'd be so good. I mean, that is the one thing that we would just top off the season. He didn't get the player of the season. Phil Foden got it, which is probably understandable in a way. But yeah, it would be so good if he could get the 20th Premier League goal and just be that first Villa player since Peter With get it, because it just makes such a massive difference to him, and to just for Villa to have that on their Premier League record. To have a player that's done it would be just tremendous. Michael says yes, he will. And Rachel said, I really hope Ollie gets his 20th goal. Yeah, so do I. I really do. But yeah, it's just been a phenomenal season, and it's a nice way to end it. That point against Liverpool, what Spurs did on or didn't do on Tuesday, just tops it off, and just means that we can go into it really relaxed. And it's interesting because the Premier League, there's no real massive story this week. I know there's a title race in inverted commas, but come on, we all know Man City aren't going to throw it away now. They're gonna get the result that they need tomorrow against West Ham. Arsenal, yes, they'll probably beat Everton, but they messed it up really against us. But they've pushed them all the way. They've pushed Man City all the way. Man City have just been too good. The relegation picture is all done and dusted. We've known that for weeks. The only story is who gets sixth or seventh, and that's not really a big story. For the teams that are in it, yes, maybe, but it's funny for the Premier League to have everything pretty much already decided at the end of the season. And I know they were desperate for Tottenham to take it to the wire, to get into the top four, and obviously you're going to be desperate for a title race. It makes it really interesting, but the 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 relegation picture was done 2 or 3 weeks ago, and we all knew it. And it's just, I guess, every game tomorrow is just literally, almost like a procession. Really, it's one of those where it just seems a little bit funny, really, to have that. I mean, what do you guys think in the chat with regards to that? In terms of, nothing too much to play for. I can't really remember too many times where everything's almost been decided before the end of the season. There's always probably been something at stake. And I know there's Premier League places. I know there's money prize money and everything that like that at stake. But when everything like that is done, it does make it a little bit weird when you're taking it to the last game and everything's all done. Yes, fifth to seventh are up for grabs. Yes, definitely. It'd be great. I think United are in the race, aren't they? It'd be so funny United to finish eighth or something. I wouldn't mind Newcastle getting it, and it's interesting with Chelsea, because if by any magic Sheffield United beat Tottenham, and if Chelsea win their game, Chelsea finish fifth in the league. And if you think about all the Chelsea fans crying about Pochettino and how terrible he was, and everything like that, it's funny because fifth is a good position for them, and a cup final. And that's not a bad season at all when you look at the players that they've got. And I would be slightly concerned about Chelsea next season, because they will go for it again, and their young players will be that another year more mature. They'll have that experience. They probably won't have as many injuries next season. So Chelsea could be a real test next season. I don't see United being. I think they're another 2 or 3 years in the mess. I think Tottenham, I can't see them pushing on. I think they're starting to show some cracks with Postecoglou and what he's doing. We should still be good. It depends on who we bring in and what we're able to do. I'll talk about that in a bit. But we should still be up there. I think Newcastle will be able to spend because they've had that Champions League money now. So I think they will push again. But it'll be strange, because if they do have a dodgy start, I can't see Eddie Howe lasting much past Christmas at all. I think they will make changes. There's a few murmurings and rumblings about Eddie Howe already, but I do think he'll start the season. So it'll be interesting to see what Newcastle do. But you can definitely see that gap again moving. I don't know about West Ham. They've made their managerial change. Liverpool will be interesting with Slot going in there as the manager. That'll be very interesting to see how quickly he adapts, because it's a full change of the guard. There's no old staff. They're clearing the decks, and he's bringing his own people in. It's going to be interesting to see what happens next season. West Ham, like I said, I don't think they will push on too much. Brighton, De Zerbi's leaving. Does Graham Potter go back? That's going to be interesting. So Palace, if they keep some of their players, could they be a dark horse next season for a European spot? Bournemouth could, if they keep a number of their players, could they do it? It's going to be really, really, really interesting next season. Um, yeah, Stephen, how Spursy would it be if they miss out and Chelsea get in? Exactly. Rachel, Palace are up for 10th. Newcastle, Spurs, Chelsea, Man United are up for the Europa and Conference places. Exactly. And they could possibly lose Bruno Guimaraes, and they will spend big. They will definitely. Big T says, my son's a Chelsea fan, and I told him early in the season, by next season, Chelsea will be back to their best. Palmer is their star signing. Potter's got them playing in sync now. It's funny because he's just kind of stayed a bit quiet. He had that little outburst where he said he didn't know if he was going to be there next season, and then all of a sudden they've just kicked on and just won game after game after game. But Cole Palmer, I mean, I gave him a little bit of criticism just after Christmas because I thought the hype was a bit too much around him. But he's been absolutely phenomenal season. 22 goals and assists, and just the heartbeat of their team, and to play with such maturity is absolutely unreal. And he's best friends with Morgan Rogers. So if we can keep Morgan Rogers fit for the rest of the for next season, for most of next season, it'll be interesting to see what he does, because they seem to be cut from the same cloth, best friends. He seems very mature, takes things in his stride. So that'll be very exciting to see what Morgan Rogers can do next season if we can keep him fit. But Chelsea have been, real credit to them, because I'm not a huge fan of them, but I think they're going to be dangerous next season. Very, very, very dangerous. Dunk says, yeah, hi, mate. Chelsea will get fifth. I'll come to that question in a bit as well, because that is an interesting one. Debbie in the chat says, hope we finish with a bang and not a whimper. Me too, Debbie, me too. It'd be great to finish on a high. Let's have a quick look at the stats from this game in past years. So 23 times we've played. Villa have 9 total wins, but we've only won twice away at Selhurst Park. One of them was, I think, 2 or 3 seasons ago under Steven Gerrard. I remember I was there. McGinn scored, and I think Matty Targett scored. And then one was under Paul Lambert. I think Benteke scored a great goal. But we haven't had a great time at Selhurst Park. This season we won 3-1. John Duran getting the goal of the season, Aston Villa's goal of the season in that game. Last season we beat them 1-0. They beat us 3-1 at Selhurst Park. I think that was the second game of the season. Prior to that, 1-1 towards the end of the previous season. And then, yes, like I say, 2-1 under Steven Gerrard before then. Look at the form, though. Last 5 games, Crystal Palace 4 wins from the last 5, only a draw against Fulham. Aston Villa with 2 wins, 2 draws and a defeat. So a bit patchy, but not bad at all. The performance against Liverpool was excellent. Much like the old Villa, yes, we conceded a few sloppy goals, but really, really, really positive performance. So it'd be great to play without the shackles and just go out and play. We've sealed 4th position, 20 wins. I repeat, 20 wins across the season. Drawn 8, lost 9, 2 goals per game we're scoring, 1.5 goals conceded. Similar with Crystal Palace, although their goal scoring isn't that great, but lately they have been averaging, I think, well over 2 goals a game since Glasner's come in. So they're a different side, a completely different side to what they were under Roy Hodgson. 19 goals for Ollie Watkins. Can he get the 20 tomorrow? 13 assists. I've seen someone on Twitter saying something about Ollie Watkins' assists and nowhere good enough or something, which is just, you talk about expected assist value and stuff like that. It's where you start taking statistics just to crazy places. But yeah, can he get the 20th? I'd love him to do it. But yeah, it's not a great place for us to go, but it'd be really good for us to just go out and enjoy it and just play. And yes, Duncan said there, it would be amazing to break that 70-point barrier. First time in that 20-team format. If we could hit that 71 points, a lot of people did predict 71 points to seal that 4th spot, because Newcastle got that last season. It'd be absolutely brilliant for us to do it with that this season. So let's really push to break that 71 point barrier, because I know Unai Emery will want to win. He always wants to win every game. So yeah, yes, yeah, it was at Invert the Wing, yes, X account. Rach, have seen that. Don't take any of that too seriously. It's his own personal social media. Of course, yeah. It's just it was just a little bit mad, to be honest, how he kind of justified it. But look, it's fine. It's absolutely fine. Yes, at Selhurst Park, Big Dalian ran the whole length of the pitch at Wimbledon. Yeah, at Selhurst Park, chipped the keeper. It'd be, yeah. What if Watkins replicated that? I mean, I would. Be, I think me and many Villa fans would be on the pitch. That would just be unreal. So yeah, yeah. Just fantastic. Fantastic. So we'll do score predictions in a second. We'll go through some questions that people have got. Big T, Wilson Tron said, "Up the Villa guys." Rich, I commented on Twitter post about Diaby and the second striker role not suiting him. Who do you think will get to play in this position for us next season? Tielemans or a new player? It's a tough one, really, because we've got a few players who can play in that role. It depends what he wants from it. It really depends what Unai Emery wants from that support striker role. Does he want someone who a bit more physical, who can drive with the ball? In which case, maybe a Morgan Rogers could support in that role, or he could maybe utilize a Tielemans maybe in that role. He could utilize a McGinn maybe in that role. He could persist with Diaby in that role, although I don't think he necessarily works in it. Or he could go out and buy someone. Now who he buys in that position, I'm not so sure. He's talked about wingers really and midfielders, so he likes a player who can play as a wide forward and then come inside. It's I don't know. I really don't know what he's going to do with it. I think Diaby. There's a lot of people who say he will come good next season after this first season in the Premier League once he gets used to the pace and the physicality. So he might even persist with him in that position. I would like to see a little bit more physicality in both positions, in the more deeper lying midfield position and in a more offensive position, and someone who can drive with the ball a little bit more. Duncan says Eze, yeah, he'd be brilliant, but I think we've probably missed out on him. Yeah, I'd certainly keep, as you say, Rich. I'd keep Musa Diaby definitely. There's something in there. Duran, I think as well. We could utilize him more, and I think could him and Watkins do something together? He's going to want to play though. That's the thing. That's the thing. And then you've also got, and I know a couple of people have mentioned in the chat, you've also got this potential swap deal either with Duran and Gallagher, or or is it Ramsey and Gallagher? Is it Ramsey and Gallagher? Because we've talked. There's a lot of talk about the FFP or the profit and sustainability, and would this is going to be so strange because our club's going to trade homegrown players to balance the books on profits and sustainability, because you can see Chelsea like moving on Gallagher for their FFP and profit and sustainability, and Villa doing the same with Ramsey for their PSR, because there'll be some sort of loophole whereby the money that you get from them, because you can offset it for 3 to 4 years, you would still be able to spend off the back of it, even though you're still spending similar amounts of money. It'll be it's going to be crazy how clubs can get around that loophole by basically trading academy players. But yeah, would you see Ramsey going to say Chelsea? Obviously, they've signed Chukwuemeka before from Aston Villa, so we get on with them apparently. And could you see Conor Gallagher coming to Aston Villa? I don't see it personally. Being a I don't see him being an Emery type player, but stranger things have happened. Few comments coming in. Deneva McGrath says best option for wide player and can play inside would be Jonathan David. Possibly. I mean, if there's anyone can see something in a player and can get something out of him, it's Unai Emery. I wasn't hugely impressed with him when he played against us for Lille, but yeah, who can tell after a couple of games? He's definitely highly rated, so we'll see what happens with him. Yep, don't forget Buendia as well. But is he going to be the same player? Are we going to see the same Tyrone Mings, Emi Buendia, and Boubacar Kamara after such heavy injuries? It is going to be a difficult one. one or two of them aren't going to be quite the same. I'd love Buendia to come back. He was firing, wasn't he, in pre-season? Absolutely firing. So it's such a shame that he got this injury, because I think he would have had a really good season. You've seen so many times this season where we struggle to break teams down, or that final pass, or that final bit of ruthlessness to play the ball through. That would have been Emi Buendia. What about Grealish? What about Grealish in that number 10 spot? I know we always talk about it. I know we do, and I don't think, in terms of wages and PSR, it would happen. But if we could get prime Grealish, or Villa's version of Grealish, back, would he be an ideal candidate for that number 10? Leo says Rogers there. Yeah, I agree. Doesn't want to see Ramsey go. I don't want to see him go, but it's just a strange one with how teams are going to try and get around this loophole. Elise would be great, but does he take, whose place does he come in? Does he take Leon Bailey's place, or does he take Diaby's place in that position? Yeah, zero on the sheet. However, the wages may have a disparity in their roles within the squad. Yeah, I do agree with that. Lee says we can get big bucks for Duran, amazing prospects, but there are red flags with him. D. Lorenzo said Duran should get more minutes. I think he'd probably play tomorrow as well. Hot Take Hyla says, yep, cashing on Duran, everyone's happy. Um, Duncan says Solanke bid for striker. I think a few clubs will be interested in Dominic Solanke. Whether he's Champions League quality is another matter, but I think a few clubs will be in for him. I can see him at a West Ham. To be honest. We need to go big this summer as much as we can, and fully make use of the Champions League pull. It's a critical transfer window that can't be missed. But that's the thing. Emery's talked about not needing to comply with the profit and sustainability. And yes, he's going to talk it down. All these managers do. They're not going to say they've got millions, hundreds of millions of pounds. But I do think we're going to have to box smart and box clever. It's been talked about Ross Barkley on a free transfer. What do you think of that in the chat? Hermoso, potential free transfer, and then looking at these release clauses or buyout clauses. If we could, Bayanes is what, 40 million euros or something. I think they're going to try and get that for cheaper. So you're going to be looking at, and then hopefully getting rid of some of these fringe players. But the problem with the fringe players is some of them are signed on big wages, and if they've got 1 or 2 years left on a contract, the clubs are potentially not going to take them, and the player's not going to go somewhere for less money. So it's a really difficult one to get rid of lots of these players. So yeah, so it's going to be interesting what he does in the transfer window. Yes, we will make signings, but you've seen with Newcastle, when they hit the Champions League, when they finished fourth last season, they couldn't go out and just spend all that money. This season, this pre-season, they probably will be able to spend more money, because you can utilize it off your balance sheet, because you've gained that prize money. The 50 million that we've potentially going to earn from the Champions League is not going to be available to us immediately for this season. So we're probably going to have to get the money from sales, from additional income from the club. So we've obviously got the sponsorship deal. We've obviously got Adidas as a kit deal. So that does help. But we are going to have to maybe sell some players. So yeah, Emery said in the summer and January windows, it's a Monchi summer. Dunk says definitely take Barkley on a free. Gibbs White says Big T. He'd be brilliant. Really like him. Really like him. PJJ says Elise, Bayana, Hermoso on a free. Elise would be a lot. Yeah, think we can get better than Barkley. Hot take. Hyla says we've outgrown Barkley even as a sub. I'm neither here or there with him. I think he's had a really good season, but is he going to be the same? Would he be the same player? In a Luton team, he's a big fish in a small pond. He can be the main player. They're constantly giving him the ball. Is he going to be the same at an Aston Villa? We've already seen he was very, very, very inconsistent at Villa. Maybe he's matured. Maybe in that deeper lying position, he's a better player. But interesting. Lee says, don't like a Duran Watkins up front, neither drop deeper. Dunk said Goncalves. Link has gone quiet again, but I think it will resurface. We definitely need a left winger, and we do. We definitely need a left winger. We really, really do. We've seen nothing of Nedeljkovic or Sousa yet. What will they contribute? Yeah, and he likes him and Monchi like the younger player who's played first team football that they can bring in and mould and get them into a system. Look how quickly Morgan Rogers has settled in. Sometimes the academy players, because they've only played academy football, take longer to settle in than a young player who's been playing first team football at a different club, whether that be in the Champions League, whether that be in the Championship or whether that be in a foreign league. Sometimes they're better at readjusting and coming into a team because they've played in those competitive games. A lot of the time with the academy players, they're playing under 21s games or under 18s games, and sadly the games don't mean anything. So it's very, very difficult for them to adapt to a game straight into the Premier League. So it's a difficult one. Stephen said, sadly, I would sell Dougie. We won't get more for him in the future than we would now. It does look like that is the one player. There was something on Twitter where I don't know if it was a newspaper article. I think it might have been Tom Colomasi, who's obviously been on the channel a few times, had mentioned players who Emery has said aren't going to sell, and in there was Martinez, Watkins, McGinn, Kamara, one other player was in. Ramsey was in there, but it didn't mention Douglas Luiz, which is an interesting one. So perhaps he's the one who they're going to look to cash in on. And we've seen Emery have words with Luiz and get very, very irate with him at times. He has said he's the heartbeat of the team. He has said he's the one who drives us forward, but maybe he's saying that because he needs him to do that, and he isn't doing it right now. I had a few words with people on Twitter about that, and maybe Emery's kind of talking to him about what he should be doing in that position, and maybe he's not seeing him doing it. So yeah, we could maybe cash in. So I think we'll call it there because we are going to do a show. We're going to do a few shows in the week about. Obviously, we're going to do a season review. We're going to do our awards. Um, we're going to do our kind of alternative awards. We're going to do a show on the 5 games that define Villa's season. So we've got loads of shows coming up. Match reaction, obviously, after the Crystal Palace game as well. So loads and loads of shows coming up. So I do want to talk, transfers. We're going to do a special show with Gareth as well on 5 players that we could sign in the summer to transform Villa's season. So he's busy doing some research on that. So loads and loads and loads of shows to come. But get your score predictions in. I haven't done score predictions yet, so please do get your score predictions in for what you think the score is going to be tomorrow. Hit the like button if you haven't already. 60 people, over 60 people in the chat, which is great stuff. Great on a Saturday night with me just rambling on by myself. So hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. If you're new to the channel, we're marching on to 4,000 subscribers. If we could do it this week, being the last week of the season, that would be amazing. We've got just under 150 to go. The growth over the last week or so has been absolutely amazing. And if you want to become a member, if you want to donate to the channel, please do hit the dollar sign or hit the join button and and donate to the channel. But get your score predictions in. Let me know your thoughts on what you think the score is going to be tomorrow, because as I said, it's going to be a funny old game. Crystal Palace playing some great football. Ollie Watkins after his 20th Premier League goal. Villa secured Champions League football. Are they going to be taking it as seriously as previous games? So I don't know. I hope the shackles are off, and I hope it's a great game. Stephen says 3-3. Rachel says 3-1 Palace, but Ollie gets his 20th goal. Dunk says 2-2. Watkins brace. TBYW says 2-2. Hot Take Hyla says 4-4. Duran hat trick and Ollie 1 goal. Michael Dimock says 5-2 Villa, all out attack just because we can. That would be crazy. I'm gonna say yeah, 2-2 draw. I think we'll get a draw. I'd love us to win and get that 71 points, but I do think we'll get a draw. We will definitely concede. And it'd be great if Gauchi plays his first Premier League game in goal. That would be brilliant. Denver says 2-1 Durant and Watkins. That would be great. PJJ says definitely high scoring 3-2 Villa. So lots of positives in the chat, talking about the scoreline and the scorers. We're all confident Ollie will get his 20th Premier League goal. It'd be amazing to round off the season like that. And what a season it's been. Just incredible to get Champions League football for next season. We just couldn't have dreamed of it. And like I say, we're going to reflect on it in our season review later on in the week. We're going to be doing the 5 games that define Villa's season. As I said, we're going to be doing the 5 players that can transform Villa's season if we sign them in the summer. We're going to be doing our alternative awards. We've got loads of shows. Don't forget as well, if you haven't watched it already, the video with Michael. We're obviously linking up with a few Villa podcast channels as well to help. So we've set up our GoFundMe page. I know Neil and the boys have set up theirs. We're thinking about doing something linking up with all the podcasts, so do stay tuned for that. But if you guys think of anything that you want to do, or if you want to donate to any of the GoFundMe pages, it's all for the Aston Villa Foundation to celebrate 150 years. So anything that you do has to have 150 in it. So yeah, have a think, get your thinking hats on. But we're thinking of something to do as a collective of all our YouTube channels. So do stay tuned for that. That's enough of me rambling on. Like I say, I'll be at the game tomorrow. Come and say hello if you're about. It'd be great to catch up with any of you. Make sure you hit the like button on your way out. We'll be back with match reaction, as I say, and plenty of shows over the next few weeks reflecting on an amazing season. Thank you all for watching, and as always, remember, we'll follow the Villa.